When it comes to action heroes, Sylvester Stallone is one of the greatest of all time. More than anything, it was the role of John Rambo that established him as that and as an action icon of the 80s. Between 1982 and 2019, Stallone will have portrayed Rambo a total of 5 times. There have been, however, some lengthy hiatuses between some of the movies. In this retrospective, we will look back at the Rambo franchise, explore its beginnings and the issues involved in undertaking each movie, and the many false starts and creative controversies on the long journey towards making the upcoming Rambo: Last Blood. In 1972, author David Morrell first introduced the world to Rambo in his novel First Blood. The story follows the clash between the vagrant drifter John Rambo, a Vietnam vet, and the Kentucky police chief Wilford Teasel. The rough treatment Rambo is subjected to while in police custody triggers flashbacks from his days as a POW in Vietnam. Being a former Green Beret, Rambo's training kicks in, enabling him to fight his way out and then wage war on the local police, and later the National Guard, all of whom are decimated. Rambo's rampage eventually comes to a tragic end at the hands of his former commanding officer, Special Forces Captain Sam Troutman. Author David Morrell first sold the film rights to First Blood to Columbia Pictures the same year the novel was published. However, Columbia weren't able to produce a script they deemed satisfactory and passed on making the movie. They wouldn't be the last to do so. For the better part of the next decade, the rights would change hands time and time again, until finally Andrew G. Vajna and Mario Kassar, 2 film distributors who were looking to become producers and who had previously produced a Stallone movie called Victory, obtained the rights to First Blood. They hired Ted Kotcheff, who had directed 1979's North Dallas 40, to direct the movie, and Kotcheff cast Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, who was given the first name John in the film. In the novel, the character was only ever referred to as Rambo. Unlike numerous previous false starts, this time the movie did receive, but not without issue. The production was a deeply troubled one. Both Gene Hackman and Robert Duvall turned down the role of Police Chief Teasel before Brian Dennehy accepted it. Kirk Douglas did sign on as Troutman and later dropped out over creative differences. Those creative differences were that Douglas wanted the movie to retain the somber ending of the novel, which is what attracted him to the project in the first place, while the filmmakers wanted Rambo to survive. The filmmakers got their way, and Richard Crenna signed on to play Troutman instead. It became his signature role. According to Stallone, the first rough cut of the movie was over 3.5 hours long, and it was so bad that it made both him and his agent sick. So much so that Stallone wanted to buy the movie and destroy it, fearing that it would end his career. There was wide agreement that the movie did not work as the long drawn-out drama it had been envisioned, written, and filmed as. The movie was radically restructured into a fast-paced action film in the editing bay. More than 2 hours worth of footage was left on the cutting room floor, leaving only a lean 93-minute running time for the final release version of the movie. The strategy worked. Upon release in 1982, First Blood was a smash hit, grossing $125 million against a budget of just $14 million. While the movie received mixed reviews upon release, later retrospective reviews have been far more positive. For Stallone, First Blood not only boosted his career, but gave him a second franchise under his belt, as a sequel was inevitable. The sequel, Rambo: First Blood Part 2, saw Rambo go back to Vietnam to rescue American prisoners of war. It was a worldwide smash hit, grossing $300 million when it was released in May of 1985, and established Stallone as the action hero of the 80s, alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger. It would become the most recognizable installment of the series and leave a huge imprint on the popular culture, through not just video games, a toy line, and an animated series promoting it, but through countless parodies, imitations, and other rip-offs. In Rambo 3, Rambo travels to Soviet-occupied Afghanistan, where his friend Sam Troutman is being held captive. After Rambo rescues him, the two join forces with the Mujahideen to take on the occupational Soviet forces. This would become a somewhat controversial plot point in the aftermath of the events of 9/11, as this movie has at times been facetiously referred to as the one where Rambo joins the Taliban. While the production had been relatively smooth on First Blood Part 2, it was anything but on Rambo 3. Several weeks into filming, many of the film's crew were fired by Stallone himself for not sufficiently planning and coordinating the production, including the director of photography and, worse yet, director Russell Mulcahy himself. He was replaced by Peter MacDonald. While he was an experienced second-unit director, MacDonald never had the responsibility of directing a feature film before. Years later, he would tell Filament that, "I tried very hard to change the Rambo character a bit and make him a vulnerable and humorous person. I failed totally." Upon release in 1988, Rambo 3 was met with mixed to negative reviews. It grossed $189 million worldwide, more than the original, but significantly less than the previous movie. The high production cost involved in making it meant that Rambo 3 provided less return on investment for its financiers than the two preceding movies. It would be another 2 decades before Rambo donned the headband once again. From the mid-1990s to the mid-aughts, Stallone's career nosedived. Over the course of just a couple of years, he went from being one of the biggest movie stars in history to starring in low-budget direct-to-video fare. But after a 3-year hiatus from appearing in any movies, Stallone made his comeback in the critically acclaimed Rocky Balboa in 2006. In 2008, he followed that up with Rambo, or John Rambo as it was known in some territories. Given the changes in the marketplace since the release of the previous movies, Rambo did reasonably well at the box office, grossing $113 million worldwide on a budget of $50 million. The movie received mixed reviews from professional critics who took offense to the extreme level of violence, while many fans embraced the movie for that very reason. Among the movie's fans is David Morrell, the author of the original First Blood. He said, "This is the first time that the tone of my novel First Blood has been used in any of the movies. It's spot on in terms of how I imagined the character. Angry, burned out, and filled with self-disgust, because Rambo hates what he is and yet knows it's the only thing he does well." Rambo ended on a note which left the door open for a sequel. While development started early, it would be another decade before the next movie actually entered production. In early 2008, in an interview with Metro magazine, Stallone said work on Rambo 5 had already begun. "I would like to take Rambo to another genre, experiment a little with the character. It would definitely not be another war movie, because I can't go any further with that than what I've already done. What's it going to be like, I'm not going to reveal at this point, but I'm already halfway through writing the manuscript." In August of 2009, Millennium Films greenlit the film with Stallone writing, directing, and starring. At that time, the plot focused on Rambo battling human traffickers and drug lords to rescue a young girl abducted near the US-Mexico border. A month later, however, things had changed, as Stallone revealed that the film's new title would be Rambo 5: The Savage Hunt. The film would have been loosely based on the unrelated novel Hunter by James Byron Huggins, and would have focused on Rambo leading an elite special forces kill team to hunt and kill a genetically engineered creature. According to Slash Film, the synopsis read, "A beast is loose somewhere north of the Arctic Circle, and the raging creature is headed south toward civilization, ready to wreak bloody devastation. It's a job that Rambo and his 22-year-old hunting partner Bo Brady can't turn down. But they and a team of highly skilled Special Forces kill team discover that the prey is beyond their wildest imagination, a half-human abomination created by a renegade agency through a series of outlawed genetic experiments. They'll still have to confront the grim reality that it may have grown immortal." Fans were quick to point out similarities with the original 1987 Predator. Incidentally, Hunter not only shares a similar plot with that movie, but Hunter was also the original working title for Predator. Whether the backlash caused it or not, by November of 2009, the plot was changed back to Rambo crossing the Mexican border to rescue a girl who had been kidnapped, something we will get into in more detail later. In May of 2010, Stallone revealed that he was done with the character, stating, "I think Rambo's pretty well done. I don't think there'll be any more. I'm about 99% sure I was going to do it, but I feel that with Rocky Balboa, that character came complete circle. He went home, but for Rambo to go on another adventure might be, I think, misinterpreted as a mercenary gesture and not necessary. I don't want that to happen." Not long after, at the 2010 Cannes Film Festival, Millennium Films and New Image advertised Rambo 5 with posters and handouts. Following an interview with Stallone for Ain't It Cool News, in which the director expressed his desire to end the franchise, Harry Knowles reported that, "He then told me that the folks behind those posters essentially said that if Sly didn't do it, someone else would, and Sly seems fine with that, setting the stage for a possible reboot or for the character to be recast." Little is known about what happened behind the scenes, but it appeared at that time that the Rambo star and the studio had come to some type of impasse. In late July of 2010, it was reported by Empire that Sly was pondering a prequel. "I certainly think this is worth pondering," was his response. "It's intriguing to find the whys and wherefores of how people have become what they are. The traumas, the loss and tragedy of being in Vietnam would certainly be a great challenge for a young actor, and it would be ironic that Rambo directs a younger Rambo having played it for 20 years plus." These comments indicated that Stallone had not only pondered a prequel, but had also contemplated directing a younger version of the character which was directly implied. That idea wouldn't go anywhere, because a year later, some surprising news would surface as Rambo 5 would appear to be back on again after Stallone's abrupt announcement. Despite Stallone's announcement that he was done playing John Rambo, in August 2011, Empire reported that Sean Hood, who most recently had done a rewrite on Millennium's Conan the Barbarian remake, was hired to write a new script titled Rambo: Last Stand that Hood described was more in line with the small-town thriller of First Blood. Hood told Empire, "I met with Stallone twice last year. He gave me a book, an older screenplay, and about 20 pages he'd written himself to use as inspiration for the last chapter of the Rambo saga." Empire said Hood declined to name the book. However, they said that it does reveal that this Rambo 5 isn't based on any of the ideas that have been incubating in the recent past. In the end, nothing came of this incarnation of the movie, but it did appear as though Stallone was back on board, and that Rambo was bound to return at some point in the future. Only at one point, the size of the screen appeared to get smaller. On August 21, 2013, The Hollywood Reporter broke the scoop that Entertainment One and New Image would jointly develop and shop a Rambo television series to possible takers, and Stallone was reportedly involved. Head of New Image, Avi Lerner, was set to develop and produce the show. The series was to be called Rambo: New Blood, implying that it would probably revolve around a younger character with Stallone passing the torch. It was an offer that many could and did refuse, as the series was never heard from again, while talks of a theatrical Rambo 5 would soon resume. In June 2014, German film company Splendid Films confirmed that Stallone had started writing the script for Rambo 5, with Stallone describing it as his version of No Country for Old Men. In September of 2014, it was revealed that the film would be titled Rambo: Last Blood, and that Stallone was expected to direct. Reports once again stated that Rambo would face down a Mexican drug cartel, but that the script was a different one from what had been on the table in 2009. Rambo would have to wait a bit more though, as Stallone returned to the role of Rocky Balboa in the spin-off sequel Creed. But this time around, a familiar name would return to the Rambo fold. In 2015, author David Morrell, writer of the original First Blood, developed a story for Rambo 5 alongside Sylvester Stallone. Alas, nothing would come of this either. Morrell told Culture Creature podcast that, "When Sly was working on Creed, he called me and asked to collaborate on a 5th Rambo film. Every weekend through March and April, we had many conversations. They went on for like 90 minutes to 2 hours. He and I worked out a story, which we were thinking of in terms of film festivals. He wanted it to be a soulful journey. That's a word Sly likes to use, and it was. This was a really emotional, powerful story, which I can't talk about. He took it to the producers, and they said, 'No, we want to do a movie about human trafficking.' That was the end of that story as far as I know." We don't know how the producer's unwillingness to go in the direction Stallone wanted influenced him, but in October of 2015, it was reported that Stallone pondered the possibility of a prequel, which would have likely seen the role recast with a younger actor. Not long after, in January of 2016, Stallone would announce again that he was done playing the character when he told Variety, "The heart is willing, but the body says, stay home. It's like fighters that go back for one last round and get clobbered. Leave it to someone else." One such someone else would be Tiger Shroff, who was set to star in a Bollywood remake of Rambo. But Indian remakes aside, in the end, it turned out that Stallone decided against listening to his body and went with his heart instead. In May of 2018, Rambo 5 was re-announced. The story would feature Rambo taking on a Mexican drug cartel, and the script would be written by Stallone himself alongside Matt Sorolnik, who co-wrote the 2002 crime drama Paid in Full. In August of 2018, Get the Gringo director Adrian Grunberg was announced as director. Principal photography began on October 2nd of 2018 in Bulgaria, before the production would move to the Canary Island of Tenerife, mainly in Santa Cruz de Tenerife. Santa Cruz previously doubled for Athens in Jason Bourne, and this time it will by all accounts double for Mexico. Shooting took place in Los Gladiolos Taco and the surrounding barrios, most of which are relatively worn down low-income areas, and the casting call specified for men and women of Latin American descent, specifically with Mexican traits, the men ideally with tattoos, mustaches, and muscular builds. On November 21st of 2018, Splash Report released a detailed breakdown and synopsis for the movie. If accurate, it confirms that Rambo will indeed go up against the Mexican drug cartels, and that the plot will be kicked off by a missing girl. It also confirms that there will be blood. Lots of it. In this day and age where many of yesterday's icons must be toned down and altered to fit the contemporary political climate, Sylvester Stallone's Rambo will continue to do what he does best. Rambo Last Blood is set to open on September 20th of 2019. Let us know your thoughts on the Rambo franchise and how excited you are for the upcoming final installment in the comments. If you like this video, then please help share it and share your opinion in the comments. Midnight's Edge aims to give the most comprehensive analysis and commentary on genre culture and entertainment. If you would like to see more of our videos, then please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and remember to indicate that you would like to be notified when new videos are uploaded. If you really like what we do, then please support us on Patreon until a better alternative comes along, or send us a direct donation through PayPal. Also check out our sister channel Midnight's Edge After Dark for live shows and other rants. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay tuned for more here at Midnight's Edge.